my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hello, BYWG Podcast Tribe. This is Dr. Noah. For the month of October, we have an awesome book of the month and product of the month that I'm incredibly excited to share with you all. As a reminder, all the links for the book and product of the month will be listed in the show notes, in iTunes, in our weekly newsletters, and on our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com at the Listen Now tab. Our book of the month is The Hidden Cause of Acne, How Toxic Water is Affecting Your Life and What You Can Do About It by Melissa Gallico. I just had the incredible opportunity to interview Melissa on the podcast, and you can find this interview at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com or on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. The product of the month is Energy Bits. Energy Bits are 100% organic spirulina and or chlorella algae that are paleo, vegan, keto, and non-GMO. I've been taking them as well as my family for nearly a month, and I personally enjoy the extra added boost in nutrition and energy they provide. You can hear me interview the CEO and founder as well this month on the podcast as well. More information can be found at www.energybits.com. That's ENERGYBITS.com, and get 20% forever using the code BYWG, or capital B, capital Y, capital W, capital G. Enjoy the upcoming podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. I'm your co-host today, Dr. Michael Acapora. I have the pleasure of reintroducing you to Pamela Gold. Pamela, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me back on the show.
Thanks for coming back on the show. You are a repeat interview, and you've done some really neat stuff that I really want to share with our audience.
Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Pamela Gold is the founder and director of a new company called HACKD Fitness. Pamela's been passionate about mind, body, and spirit optimization from a very young age. An overachiever from the start, she grew up on a farm in upstate New York, attended Yale University as a microbiology and biochem major, and then moved to New York City, where she supported the growth of a restaurant chain from 18 locations to over 100 and was the point person on an IPO all by the age of 24. After becoming a mom, she became passionate about physical fitness and wellness and founded Fulfill Fitness, specializing in personal training and nutrition coaching. She then spent 2 years as president of the Beacon Program, a New York City behavioral therapy-based food and weight clinic. HACKD Fitness represents what Pamela sees as the future of fitness, the convergence of science and tech to give us the next generation of evidence-based evolution. Pamela is also the best-selling author of Find More Strength, 5 Pillars to Unlock Unlimited Power and Happiness. She lives in New York City with her husband Roger and her 2 children Talia and Jesse. Pamela, welcome back.
Thanks so much. Appreciate all of that.
That's awesome.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah. No, get out of town. So could you please, for the people who don't know who you are, could you please give them a little backstory, please?
Yeah, so basically my backstory, sorry, cut 1 second. You can't with the puppy? All right, I got the puppy, Michael. I got the puppy, Michael. Sorry about that. So my backstory is that I've always been someone who was really focused on living my best life. Like it always was intrinsically about me. I never really felt like it was right to compare myself with someone else. And I always had this intrinsic motivation just to be the best me that I could be and figure out how to be as highly functioning in all the ways that I wanted to be highly functioning, you know, in my relationships and in work and all the things that I wanted to achieve in my life and live my best life. So really everything that I've done in my life stems from that. And that kind of brings me where I am now, even though I've bounced around so much in so many different industries and so many different things.
Oh, did I lose you?
I don't know. Did you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I heard you.
Cool.
You just stopped all of a sudden like it was, you were talking and then it was gone. And I thought I lost you.
Well, maybe it was a weird stop. I don't know. I could just kind of say that, kind of cut, and that just brings me to where I am today.
Awesome. So give people a little bit of backstory about your book, because I loved your book, and that's when I first reached out to you. Tell people about the book that you wrote, just again to flesh out some of this bio stuff.
Yeah, sure. So Find More Strength, 5 Pillars to Unlock Unlimited Power and Happiness. That really stemmed from the spiritual awakening that I had, where I realized that our inner peace was the master key to our greatest achievement and highest evolution. And prior to that, I'd always been looking outside of myself for kind of the way, the path to be as strong as possible. And it was a huge breakthrough when I realized that it was really all within myself, which, we've heard that our whole lives, right? Sure. But then I really realized what it meant, and that there were specific practices that I could be practicing each day to help me build that strength from the inside out.
I love it. I love it. And just really quickly, could you go through a couple of those pillars for folks?
Sure. So the first pillar is gratitude, that kind of practice that I often talk about as being the root for our spiritual strength. Feeling that connection to our blessings and the things that we really, really just are deeply thankful for, and how much power that gives us. It also kind of puts us in this X marks the spot for more blessings to happen. So gratitude's the first pillar. And then the second pillar is courage, being brave in the face of our fears and our challenges. And then the third is compassion, practicing love both for ourselves and every other part of life, other people, other beings. And then the last 2 pillars, surrender, was actually the hardest one for me. That's the kind of letting go and trusting this flow of life that's much bigger than ourselves and bigger than we always have access to really understand, what's going on at all times and how it is ultimately going to be the best thing that could possibly happen in those moments when it's really scary and doesn't feel like the best thing. And then the 5th pillar is the openness and the curiosity, just because we can never know what the future is going to bring. And it's so kind of tempting and kind of hardwired for us to be judgmental about the future and kind of be inadvertently closed-minded. And when we do that, we cut ourselves off from these opportunities of leveling up. And so that 5th pillar of openness and curiosity is kind of the branching out and the growing part of the pillars, if you will.
Awesome. I absolutely loved your book. I gave it to my staff, and I will have a link in the show notes, folks, and to our first interview as well. So all of this said, you can hear that we actually have a visitor with Pam who's trying very desperately to hold it together.
I apologize, you can hear. Theo's quite cute. If you want, I can send a picture of Theo, and you can put that in the show notes too. We have a 12-week-old puppy, a new addition. And I think Michael, my husband travels a lot. My husband manages a pop star, which is another kind of fun side note about my life. So he's currently traveling the world with the pop star, and so I'm home being mom to my 2 children and the puppy. And my 10-year-old came in here and said, "Mom, I can't with the puppy." So the puppy is now on my lap. So I apologize if you hear some squeaks.
So
it's not my tummy.
Theo, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Such is life. You got to roll with it. Roll with it.
Exactly what you just described to us. You got to roll with it.
Yep.
All right. So, not that you have a lot going on in your life, you've now decided to open a Hacked Fitness. Yeah. And this is a brick and mortar facility.
Yes.
Can you talk about why you did this first, and then talk about Hacked itself for us?
Sure. So in the bio that you talked about, you mentioned there was a 2-year stint where I was running a company. It was a behavioral therapy-based food and weight clinic. And during those 2 years, I had very little free time, unsurprisingly. I was still a mom and still juggling everything. And so I was lucky during that period if I could find 20 minutes for my fitness routine, my workouts. And so during that time, my fitness level plummeted just because, I only had 20 minutes if I were lucky. And so during that time, it was frustrating, but I had a lot of other things on my plate, and I surrendered and I went with it. Then about a year ago now, I was introduced to this gentleman named Lorenzo Delano, who turns out works for Mind Valley. I don't know if you know that company, but they are fabulous.
Yeah.
Love Mind Valley. But so anyway, he did a conversation with Vishen Lakhiani, the CEO of Mind Valley, about getting 10 times results from your workout. And so I listened to that conversation, and I was a personal trainer, so I knew a lot of the things that he was talking about, but I had some questions, and he was super, super generous with his time. I ended up reaching out to him. He ended up coaching me and teaching me these principles of how I can really get an effective minimum dose, really optimal fitness in 20 minutes or less. Not even every day. What we ended up coming up with as a routine was 20 minutes once a week of strength training, and then 10 to 15 minutes of high intensity interval cardio 3 times a week, with some other functional stuff thrown in, but really, really an effective minimal dose, prescription for working out. And it was transformative. I was in the best shape of my life, and I had more free time than ever to do all the other things in my life that obviously I feel very called to do. And through this course of a few months, he mentioned to me this machine called the ARX. And he told me, he's like, have you heard of the ARX? And I was like, no, I never heard of it. And he's like, oh, listen to this podcast with Dave Asprey. There's one with Ben Greenfield. And you got to find this machine. There's got to be one in New York. And so I tracked down the machine. I found one guy in New York who had an older version of the machine, and I started using this machine once a week last October. It's been about a year now. And let me tell you, Michael, this machine knocked my socks off. It was unlike anything I'd ever used before. Then I got to use the new version of it out when I went to a Mind Valley conference out in San Diego in February. I used the new versions of the machines, and then I was like, holy cow, these machines are unbelievable. And no one in New York City. I mean, it's New York City. We all are pressed on time. We all are high achievers and trying to get the most, at every minute of our day. And no one had these machines. No one was bringing this machine, and there's other machines too, to market. And I said, gosh, this is all the stuff that I want to be using, even though the last thing I have time for right now is to start another business. I felt like I had to do it.
That is really fascinating. Talk to me about the actual machine, ARX. So it is.
Sure.
It's more cardio, high intensity training.
No. So ARX is actually all about strength training. Cool. So it's computerized mechanical resistance that adapts instantly to whatever your force output is, both on the concentric and eccentric phase of the motion. So for the layman, both on the lift and the lower, like if you were doing a bicep curl, you're going to lift the weight up, and then you're going to lower the weight. And what many people don't know, because if you're not a fitness professional, why would you know this? But when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, you're right. You can lift about a fourth or a fifth of the weight that you can lower. But with traditional weight training, you could never be maxed out in both directions because you couldn't lift up the 100 pounds that you then, could lower. You could only lift maybe the 25 or the 30 pounds, and then somehow you'd have to suddenly be holding 100 to lower it to get the full benefit each moment of being maxed out. But the way the ARX works, since it's instantly adapting to what you are able to create in terms of a force, you're able to maximize each moment of the movement, your amount of work. And I tell you, the last couple of weeks I've been having all these fitness professionals come in and use the machine for the first time, and they're like crying about how hard they're working and how overwhelming it feels. But Michael, the coolest part of it is every second of it is quantified. So there's a screen in front of you that you're watching the whole time. You can see what your max force is, like during the set, and then you can see what you're currently doing on each rep. And you know that if you're still above 40% of your max, you still have gas in the tank. And so the numbers don't lie. You feel like your mind, it's a mind game where you feel like you're done. You're like, oh, I'm done, I'm toast. And I'm like, no, look, you're only 12% off your max. You still have tons more in the tank. You can keep going. And so the benefits of this machine are just exponential, because yes, you're getting this kind of intense workout that you could never get with kind of traditional weight training. But then because every moment is quantified and analyzed, you're able to kind of break through the barriers that your mind is creating and take things to a whole nother level really, really quickly.
This is, hold on a second. All right. So the computer can gauge you in every moment of the lift. Both, if you're doing a bench press. Yep. So the pushing and the lowering down. It's gauging the entire movement.
Yes.
And all right, I'm wrapping my brain around this as a exercise scientist before I was a chiropractor.
Yeah.
So that means that you there's no way to just mail it in. There's no way to just walk your way through a workout.
Well, the funny thing is, you are the one who's in control each moment.
Okay.
So you can take it easy. You can actually control and take it easy, because you're the one who's creating the weight, which is the other really important thing about this machine. Because you're the one creating the force, it's the safest way to build muscle and bone density and rehab after an injury, because you're never holding a weight that's too heavy. So technically, if you wanted to, you could go easy. But the thing about it is, because the numbers are on the screen, the data doesn't lie, and it saves your workouts each week or each time you come. So you can always see what you did last week, and you want to compete with yourself, right? You can see what you did last week, you want to beat it. And so, sure, since you're the one creating the force and therefore creating the resistance, you can dial it back and take it easy, but the numbers are holding you accountable. So if any moment, you're not feeling good, you're feeling weak, by all means, you can back off. But at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. Or as we say at HACKD, data don't lie.
Data don't lie.
Data don't lie. Which is a whole plural, singular thing, which is a whole nother conversation.
For the grammarians out there.
Oh, yes, which I am not one.
Me neither. All right, so what exercises can people do on this machine? Are they? Give me some of that.
So there's two different machines. There's an Alpha and there's an Omni. The Alpha has a leg press setup. So there are these plates that you can put your feet on and do a leg press. You can also do a chest press and a row on that machine. And you can do your torso flexion and extension. So the Alpha gives you about, and a calf raise. So I think there's six exercises, maybe 7 exercises that you can do on the Alpha. The Omni is the machine that's really kind of the pull and the press machine, where there are no plates. Everything is done kind of with the bands, not really bands, but straps and handles, thank you, and attachments. So you can do the pull-up, you can do a shoulder press, chest press, row, you can do, your pec fly, you can do a belt squat, you can do a deadlift. That machine's got like 20 exercises you can do. I can't even name them all, but you can really do an extensive full body workout just on the Omni alone. I love having the Alpha because of the leg press capability. That really, for me, makes a huge difference compared to a belt squat or a deadlift, where my hands or my hips on a belt, are going to be mitigating factors in how much work my legs do.
Really, and to me, this is fascinating, and this is something that I'm not familiar with, which is I think it is cutting edge. Let me ask you a question, a theoretical or a hypothetical question. With your experience as a trainer and utilizing this machine, are you still, where do you see the frequency with doing exercises? Is it going to be less frequent, like a once a week thing, or twice a week, versus regular working out?
Yeah, so because you're working so hard over a short period of time, but so hard, really once a week is sufficient. If you do it every 4 days, that that's going to probably lead to maximum gains. But I have found for myself that once a week definitely maintains my muscle mass. And I'm not 20 anymore, Michael. So for me, maintaining my muscle mass is the goal, and is as a 41-year-old mom, I think a big win. And if I do it more than once a week, even if I go hard once a week, I will build muscle. And everybody's different in terms of, how much it takes to build muscle, of course, and how your nutrition is and all of that.
Sure.
But for me, once a week is what I've been doing since last October. I'm looking forward to being able to use it more often, but I've been so busy, I gotta be honest. Someone came into HACKD today and they're like, "Oh, are you just using everything every day?" And I was like, "No, I'm just working really hard right now." So really once a week is what I tell clients is what they should plan for in the beginning, to do it twice a week just until you really get the mental piece of it kind of under your belt. Because like you said, in terms of taking it easy or, not going as hard, in the beginning when you're getting used to the machine and you're not used to working this hard, it is something that takes a little getting used to, and doing it twice a week will help you get over that hump in the beginning.
Amazing. Where do I want to go? Yeah.
Well, one thing about it is that it complements really well with some of the other things that we have in HACKD, because obviously strength training and building muscle and bone density is super important, and to have kind of the safest, most effective, efficient way to do that is huge. But then you also want to take into consideration, your cardiovascular fitness, overall, metabolic health, and doing some high intensity interval cardio work is important for that. And we have a bike called the Carol, which is an artificially intelligent, advanced biometric kind of feedback. It reads your heart rate in a much more effective way and feeds your data into a really advanced algorithm to personalize a bike ride that is under 10 minutes with 2 interval sprints of just 20 seconds each.
Yep.
That gives you the benefit of a 45-minute steady state jog. So you can hop on that bike in under 10 minutes and feel just as good as if you had just gone out and done a 45-minute jog. So that's a great complementary option that we have at HACKD.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard of, you called it Carol?
Carol, yeah. We can put the show notes. I'll give you the link. You can check out the research on it. And
really cool. It's
out of London. It's a really, really cool bike.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
What other, I noticed that you offer coaching as well.
Yeah. And I was pretty excited about that. And initially, I was just thinking, I want to use this equipment. I want to make this equipment available to others. And then I realized that this is a beautiful opportunity for me to integrate what I'm really, really passionate about, which is kind of sharing all the wisdom and the practices that I've learned for myself around leveling up and being the best me possible, and kind of, getting people in the door around fitness, that, you want to be as fit and beautiful and age as well as possible. And then if that's your goal, of course we have to talk about nutrition. And then chances are we're going to have to talk about why it's so hard for you to eat the way that you probably, have the opportunity to be eating for it to be as healthy as possible. And then we need to talk about stress and stress management and sleep and mindfulness. And maybe we'll talk about meditation. And so it was this beautiful opportunity for me to kind of weave in really all the different levels of wisdom and practices that I've become so passionate about over these years. One of the things that we offer at HACKD is the Muse, which is a meditation trainer. It's a biofeedback device. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but that's something that we have as well. So you can come and meditate. And then we've got some other recovery tech that you can use too. And if you put all that together with a coaching program and have kind of the wisdom and the protocols and all the behavioral therapy background that I have, and I don't necessarily like to talk about the spiritual awakening stuff, but anyone who read my book, Find More Strength, knows that I talk about spiritual strength. So it really all goes hand in hand with, getting your body as healthy as possible, getting your mind as healthy as possible, your heart as healthy as possible. And so that's the coaching program.
I love it. I'm sorry. Talk a little bit about the recovery tech that you just you just mentioned?
Just threw in there?
Yeah, you just happened to throw that
threw
out.
it in there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, one of the things that I've really only started to learn more about, and I was a biochemistry major at Yale, so I'm a hard science person. I want research. I want to have, double blind evidence-based studies that really kind of show the validity of this technology. And some of the research is there. Some of it's more anecdotal that I've been using these things and feel like it's made an impact in my life. But two of the things that we have at HACKD, one is called the Juve. It's a near infrared light photobiomodulation therapy, if I got that right.
Yes, we actually had Scott Nelson, I think. We had him on
awesome.
The podcast. Yeah.
Awesome. So you know about a lot of the benefits of and one of my best friends is a dermatologist, so I know they use it, in dermatology and a lot of other medical modalities. So I really do believe in the tech, and I love the Juve. I use that. I try to use it every day. Lately I've been busy, so I probably haven't been using it every day. But I love that. So that's available at HACKD. And then we also have an IR sauna, an infrared sauna. So you can hop in the sauna. We've got the vibrational resonance therapy. So basically the whole sauna will share whatever music it is that you feel like listening to. If you want to listen to tones, or if you want to listen to peaceful, whatever, everything just vibrates, and it feels so relaxing put together with the heat of the sauna. So you can do the sauna at HACKD. And then I said we had the Muse. We've got a couple other little things. But I guess the Halo, I don't know if you're familiar with the neuropriming headphones, the Halo Sport.
Yep.
They're not really recovery. They're more of a kind of, it's all about neuroplasticity. So that's just another kind of ancillary thing that we offer there, not so much recovery. But yeah, I'm so fascinated by, the advancements that are out there that, a lot of people just aren't aware of yet, aren't using. And again, come in, use it, see how it makes you feel, and then you decide. But I know for me, when I'm in front of the Juve for 10 minutes, I do it in late afternoon when I start to be like, I'm shot because I've already been working my tail off all day, and my brain is like, no, I'm done, thank you. I go in front of that light for 10 minutes and I feel like $1,000,000. And yeah, I think my skin looks great and I feel great. My muscles aren't as sore. Again, use it for yourself and see how you feel. But man, and again, same thing, sauna. When I'm in that sauna, when I come out, I feel so good. So having access to that in the same space where you're doing these high intensity but short workouts, it's a great compliment.
That is awesome. So as a fellow hacker, you're working in nirvana.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty happy.
I can only imagine. That is so cool.
Yeah. If only I had more free time just to play all day, but I'm trying to launch a business and be profitable so my husband doesn't kill me.
I am certain you are going to be wildly successful. I am with your passion and your enthusiasm. Tell people where they can look you up and where they can find you on the web.
Sure. So HACKD, we spell it without an E, so it's HACKD fitness.com. We're located on 7th Avenue at 23rd Street in Chelsea, New York. And gosh, you can always find us on Instagram and Facebook, but really reach out, even if you're just visiting. If you come into New York, feel free to stop by. We love when people come in. Obviously, we get to share some of the stuff that we're so excited about. So whether you're just traveling through New York or if you're local, definitely come and say hi.
Pamela, really, this is amazing. I'm thrilled for you. And I'm thrilled for the people that are going to be able to experience what you bring to the world, because it is unique. And when I think of what you're doing, I'm just so excited. I will stop in for sure the next time I'm in the city.
Oh, thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Gosh, the only thing we didn't talk about that I'm super, super excited about, we also have the 3D Fit Scan. Have you ever used that?
I have never even heard of it.
Well, it gives you a 360-degree picture of your body, which I know is kind of scary. And, sometimes truth can be scary, but when you can really just look at kind of truth objectively, it also helps you not, have these kind of dysfunctional thoughts that we often have around our bodies. So if you just do this image, you get all of your actual measurements. You can see your body from 360 degrees, and then you can also have your muscle mass and your fat composition. So you can really see week over week, month over month, how your body changes, and that progress is extremely exciting and motivating. So I encourage everyone, even if you're not in New York, find someone who has one of these and just do it. You're the only one that sees it. It just goes to your email. No one else sees your information. And it really is exciting to see how your body changes when you just get over that initial, like, oh my gosh, what? Look at you kind of look like a gray sack of potatoes. But at the end of the day, to see week over week, month over month, how you make progress, it's so motivating.
Very cool.
Yes.
And that's called the 3D Fit Scan, correct?
Yes, 3D Fit Scan.
I will have that in the show notes too. I mean, the show notes are just going to be. I am always amazed at what we as human beings can fit into a lifetime, and you, my friend, you are amazing.
Oh,
So,
you are too. Thank you so much, Michael. It's such a pleasure to talk.
Pamela, it was great having you on the show. Folks, if you like what you heard, please go to iTunes and leave a review. It helps us to help others find what we're doing here, and I will be extremely grateful for that. I will talk to you soon. Have a great night. Ciao.
One, two, three, four, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.